are going to be working in the basement. We are going to be laying rock over here. We are going to be welding this giant I-beam right here. We are going to be welding 2 giant I-beams over here. And we are going to be removing this pole. Hey everybody, you're watching Cole the Corn Star, and welcome to the 100% restoration and remodel of my great-great-grandfather's $7,000 mansion, and welcome to Corn Star Farms. We are currently in the middle of getting ready to pour the footings and foundation walls in the underground movie theater, but before we can do that, we need to finish all of the big work in the existing basement, because once we have footings and foundation walls poured over here, we will not be able to get big stuff in, and we will not be able to get big stuff out, which will make our work in the existing basement extremely difficult. So today, we are going to be focusing on this corner. We need to get the forms stripped off of this little stub wall, and we need to get the forms stripped off of this foundation wall. Once the forms are out of here, we're going to take our perimeter drain, which ends right here. We're going to connect up to it. We're going to go into that corner, and then from that corner over to the stub wall. And then once that's in, we are going to backfill this corner with rock, so it will look just like everything we have over here. We are also going to be focusing on welding this I-beam. So we already have this side done, but in the middle of welding it, our welder broke. So we need to get this side welded up, and then while we have the welder out, we need to come over here and do some welding on this I-beam and this I-beam, because we want to attach this I-beam, well, each of these I-beams, to these wooden beams, so that way these wooden beams will hang off of the I-beams, and then we will be able to get rid of this pole. Today is going to be a little bit of a divide and conquer. Roman is going to be working on the welding stuff. He has some welding experience, so he's going to tackle that, and then I am going to be working in the corner with stripping the forms, adding in the rock, and finishing our perimeter drain system. So here in just a few minutes, my friend Zach should be showing up with his welder. We'll get him unloaded, and then we'll get started. There we have it. This is Zach's welder. It's on this nice little stand. I like this. It's got wheels so you can roll it around. That's going to be pretty handy. So this is an 11,000 watt generator. So this can literally power an entire house if it needed to. So this thing has some juice. So we got our welding sticks up here. Got a little slag tool where we can knock some stuff off. Got welding gloves, because when we're welding the sparks, we're literally melting metal together to fuse it, and the little sparks that come off are extremely hot, so we want to protect our hands. And then we also have a welding blanket right here, so if the sparks land on this, it won't burn what is underneath. So these are all Zach, so we need to give a big thank you to Zach for letting us use his stuff. This is very much so appreciated. And also, whoever designed this thing over at Hobart, thank you, because he put a little hook right here, so that way we could put a clevis on it with the cable. So in our application, we have the telehandler. We can just lift it up, kind of like a mama cat picks up a baby kitten, and then we're gonna be able to carry it right down into the underground movie theater, and then we're gonna be able to stick it right into the basement where we need to work. What experience do you have with welding?
I'm actually just going through the certification right now. Online classes. I'll be certified in no time.
Happy Thursday. I beat Zach today, so yeah, it's not often I beat Zach here. So we're gonna start on the combine here. This is the last thing we gotta do to it. We put new batteries, I know Dad did, and we didn't really pay attention to how they came out. Long story short, we thought these batteries might be in series, but we didn't know. Wouldn't start last night, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to flip this battery around, hook everything up, see if she'll start. And hopefully we didn't fry anything. I don't think we did, but possibility. Here we go. Woohoo!
Well, the thing number one, we got our certification done. We got a welder in place. Now we need to actually figure out what we're gonna do. And I think what we're gonna do is create a U-shape hanger that will come from below. Then we'll jack it up by creating big tension up against the bottom, and therefore we'll even lift this LVL beam a little bit, And then once that is in place, we'll weld our piece to the beam, and then we'll probably try to reinforce by welding a second plate to it. We'll see what happens. But first, we need to create a U-shape bracket that's gonna come this way, and we have a strapping for that outside. Here is our material. We'll put a saw wherever the drop cord is gonna reach, and we're just gonna cut it in place here. So here's the thing. Cole has a metal brake which I've never used. I don't even know if it will bend metal like this thick. I think it will, so we'll try. And we have a line here going, and we're gonna bend this piece 90 degrees. Possibly on the next piece we'll be able to make 3 bends, but I don't know. We need to try this first, and then we'll go from there. That's annoying. You clamp one side down, another one pops off. Guess I just need to learn what this brake does. Okay, we're gonna hold this side and try to bend it here. Nope, I don't think it will bend. Probably too thick. I'll try one more time, but doesn't look like it's wanting to go. The metal brake didn't work, so it means that we'll cut our line off and we'll have to weld it.
Well, today is the day that Zach gets to crawl around and play on the dirty floor.
At least it's the last truck to get ready.
Zach and Cooper have been working on the trucks, it seems like nonstop lately. They think they're done, and then Zach breaks something else just to give them something to do. So, but they think this white semi here is kind of our spare. It will be ready to roll, put in the shed, all ready to go. I think last year I know they put all new rubber on it. I'm not sure if they put new brakes on this truck or not. It seems like they did, but this one's ready to roll. So if something comes up with one of our other semis, they can flip-flop them real quick and then get this on the road. So anyhow, Zach's running around checking air pressure in the tires, all that good stuff. It's amazing how, oh, and then Zach wired it up here a little bit ago, so they got the cord, so if we need this on one of the grain trailers with the roll tarps, the electric roll tarps, it's ready to hook in. I hope I'm not speaking out of line there, but I think he's got it all ready to go. Combine thinks ready to go till we start it. A lot of things to get ready. Got Zach up in the combine. He's gonna back this thing out of the way. Kind of loud. I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. I'm probably yelling at you, apologize. I have my headphones on, but I guess Zach's just kind of getting things outside there, and I don't know what he's gonna bring in next. We'll find out in a little bit. One thing I like, Zach isn't scared just to take charge and do what he knows needs to be done or what he feels needs to be done. There's no right or wrong around here. And you know, sometimes when you're working around people, you gotta remember, they can make decisions on their own too. We're a team with Zach, so he knows he can do what he wants around here. He gets things done, so that's important.
So what just happens is very frequent occurrence when you use chop saw. When you have metal overheating, it creates kind of film that the blade cannot go through. So what you need to do, just take another chunk of metal and basically take this edge off that has molten metal on it, and it should start cutting again. Another challenge that this chop saw is offering is that it's strip-in breakers, so that's why you have that power strip. So instead of going all the way down the basement to flip the breaker, we flip this power strip, and it does it occasionally. Sometimes it does it more than other times, so just who knows what's happening. But anyway, we have our pieces cut. Now we'll try to weld them. somehow. Here we are, Cole found us a little magnetic triangle that will help us to keep the pieces square to each other. Also, we have our welding station here. And before we start, I'm gonna spray everything with a garden hose with water so the wood is wet and soaked and a lot less prone to catching on fire. Now, even though I adjusted our chop saw, it's still not quite square cut, so we need to make sure we're all square and true, so we'll try to do our best to do that, which this is flat, now it lays flat, so we should be fine. Since I came unprepared and my shoes are not full leather shoes, I have parts of nylon here. What I'm gonna do is do this. That will protect it from burning through right away at least, or from little burns. By no means I'm a professional welder. I'm self-taught and I know I can get the job done, but it's not gonna be the prettiest weld, but it will be consistent without the voids and stuff like that. So I started welding, got excited, didn't turn the camera on, and then Cooper stopped by to see if I'm doing a good job, and he said, yep, you're doing fine, and he hopped in and wanted to weld a little bit. So he got his welding, which is real pretty, and I got mine a little bit ugly. To be honest, those were two different ones. I did the vertical one and he did the horizontal inside. But we'll continue on, and I think I'm gonna go to the shop and see if I can find a wire brush, because that gets the slag a lot easier off the metal. Well, I guess that's all we have.
I tell you what, the use of the proper tools for the proper job makes things so much easier. Roman now has the welder set up in place. We did just get a random little flash rain out of nowhere, so Roman is going to get started welding this thing up, and I'm going to start pulling these forms.
Baler's clean, tractor's clean. We're gonna come out here and grease the grain cart. I already greased the drive shaft before it decided it was gonna rain. Got a bunch of greasers on the pins here.
One thing that we need to do before trying them on, or even maybe welding them in place, is actually taking this bevel here making it at 45 degrees, so when we come in to weld, it's gonna all fill in with weld, and then we can make a couple passes, so it's not just one bead but several beads that are much thicker, and there is much more holding material for this structure.
Cooper's trying to check the air pressure in this tractor, and it's kind of a goofy valve stem. Sounds like Cooper and Zach got things figured out how to get air in these back tires because they had a bigger valve stem. When we run the planter on this little John Deere, we run them about 16 pounds per tire on the rears, and then when we hook the grain cart on, we'll be running about 21, I guess. Then Cooper's up front here. Whenever I change oil on anything or whatever, I always make a mess. It's just proven rules. What Cooper's doing, he's working on the front faceplate of the combine. When we put the bean head on it, he needs to tilt it about halfway back to these grooves here, so he'll be kind of putting her back about half. Need my head phone.
So here's what I thought. We have this bead of weld that basically sticks out past corner. So now we need to take those corners of the LVL so they would not be in the way, and the bottom of the LVL would actually sit flush here. Come here. So you see how it's not flush? So it's these corners that we need to trim down a little bit. Now our post is in the way, and we need to put the bottle jack, lift this thing up so we can remove it. We'll grab our platforms.
How you make it out?
Good, we need bottle jack. Wanna grab one?
I got a bottle right here.
Jack. Are you gonna jack it somehow? Well, after thinking about it, actually, we might be able just to tap this post out of the way a little bit, because our strap would come straight down and we would just barely should be able to miss it. Let's try it. Check this out. This is all jacked up now. We're pushing right up against the LVL, creating a little pressure up against the ceiling, the flooring system, our joist. And we're actually tied here too, which I wanted to have a little bit bigger gap, but that's all right because we have this bead, the flange that we cut off here. So I think it's ready for a weld. I think we'll soak it in with water a little bit one more time, and we should be good to go.
Alright, we're about to pick up the head here. Okay, everything worked on the bean head. The only thing that we need to do to this head, we had this ran through this winter by a guy that works on these. Does a couple hundred a year, so he knows all the wear points, all this little things he needs to look at. So we just bring it to him. He's pretty cheap, so that's where we take it. But the only thing that we got to do is we got to put a new sickle section in it. We got all the new ones here. Our teeth are getting fairly wore down. They're not terrible. Definitely could run it, but beginning of the season here, the challenge this year is green beans right now, green stems. Beans are anywhere from 8% to 12%. So the pod and bean itself is ready, but the plant necessarily isn't fully turned. And so we want to have the sharpest teeth we can get here. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull this out. Super simple. We just gotta go through. We have these curry tie downs. I think it's, we only call them, it's got a little pad on them. They just keep the sickle pushed down so it doesn't bounce. So you just put a little impact on here, tighten all these down so it spaces it out. We gotta pull this bolt out here. This pin will drop down, and then we just we'll take this metal deal off here that's got where that pin goes in. Gotta take these bolts out here, bolt it on that one. Same on both ends. This is a double cutter bar. So we're gonna do that.
Looks like they must be done working on the bean head, so looks like they're loading it back up so they can get it put away again. You can see Zach, he's guiding them in. This little trailer here, it's really nice. They call it an all steer. That's what I call it anyhow. But when you just go to the normal corner with the pickup and turn, front wheels turn, the back follows and turns, so you don't have to make these really wide corners. So right now, if anything goes wrong for putting it on the trailer wrong, it's Zach's fault because he's guiding them in. This is actually a 45-foot bean head. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's too big. We have a little trouble sometimes on the back of the machine feeling like we're getting the trash wide out. Sometimes it feels like it's a little bit thicker in the middle of the machine, which makes the crop hard to come up through that little debris. We're trying to get that figured out. I don't know what this is doing out here, but I don't think it's supposed to be here.
Man, I worked up a sweat pulling these forms off, but look at this stub wall. That thing looks absolutely beautiful. So our wall is going to end right here. So there's going to be a post here, and then we're gonna have that post there. So that is how wide our opening is going to be. This is going to be coming out. Then over here between the two stub walls, we have this opening. This is going to be a doorway, and this is going to give us access underneath of our staircase and underneath of our staircase landing. So that way we can kind of utilize this area a little bit. And then this stub wall on the right is going to have a wall on top of it. Now we left this little gap right here intentionally because our old wall is a stone foundation, at least on the other side of this concrete, and it is impossible to waterproof the other side. So when water comes in contact with the other side, it can actually make its way through this wall. So we are going to be putting a dimple back membrane on the inside right here. So when the water gets in, that is a-okay, because it's going to hit that membrane and it's going to fall down the wall. It's going to fall over the top of our footer, and then we're going to be installing our perimeter floor drain right here, and that water will fall into there. So once this is all done, it will be covered with concrete. You will have no idea that this is going on, but that will be behind the scenes, and that will prevent water from being trapped in our wall, and it will allow things to be able to dry out because the water will have an area to go. So it's basically what we have to do in this old basement. And the new stuff, we waterproof the outside so water doesn't get in, but we don't have the ability to do that here, so this is our best option. So that is why we left this gap right here, so that way we can get our membrane in, and then if water gets behind there, it can either come on this side or it can go on that side. Taking a look at the last foundation wall that we poured, this thing turned out absolutely phenomenally. We got everything filled all the way up to the top, so we don't have a gap up here, so that means everything is sealed on the outside, everything is sealed on the sides, we don't have any honeycombing going on. This thing looks awesome. One thing you do not think about when you form stuff up like this is the amount of materials that you use. This disarrayed pile of wood was all the wood that we had as forms, and then we used probably 50 of these screws, so I definitely restockpiled by pulling them out. We used all the screws that were in this container, and then we just had 2 of these left until I pulled them out. So we definitely got some screws back. Now we don't have to go to the store soon, which is awesome. While I'm in a pouring forms apart mood, I have a couple forms that we made a few months ago that we have not taken off the wall. So I'm gonna take these down, and we gotta be very careful while we are working over here not to look at Roman because he is welding. That is an extremely bright light. He's got a special helmet on that protects his eyes. But if I look at that, that can, well, it can make somebody blind if you look at it long enough, but it can burn your eyes. Even the light that is emitting can give me a sunburn. So the entire time I was facing over there, I did have my eyes closed and had my hand over my eyes. So that is not something we want to mess with. So we're going to be careful. I'm actually going to start in this room. Moment of truth. Wow. Actually looks pretty good.
You smell gas all day long, this burning up.
Oh, that one looks good.
Our bracket is welded in place. As you can tell, it's not the prettiest weld, but it's, as you can tell, nice and solid without any voids. And that's the most important thing. So we're gonna install this side now.
Now that we got all of our forms off from up there and we got all of our forms off from down here, I'm ready to start working in this corner. I need to get everything cleaned up, and then I'm going to be digging down along the edge, making a little trench all the way to the corner. And then once I get to the corner, then I'm going to be coming over to here. Once I get that done, I'm going to be laying in some perimeter drain tile. We'll get everything connected up to the existing tile we have right here. We'll get our non-woven geotextile fabric wrapped around it. Then we'll bring in a rock. We'll get everything covered up, and then we won't even know there'll be a drain there anymore. It'll look just like the rest of the floor over here. After a little bit of digging, I now have this corner area all prepared and ready to go. So I ended up taking this down about 6 inches right here in the middle because we want to add 6 inches of rock in. So our floor grade is actually going to be what is over here. So just imagine this coming straight across through here. So I had to bring it down a little bit. I was not able to get much deeper right here because there are some big rocks buried underneath, and I'm not going to try to individually excavate those just to gain 2 more inches in this one little spot. So then right along the edge, I did dig this a little deeper, and this has a little bit of slope to it because this is where our perimeter drain is going to go. So I got everything all dug out right here. I'm going to grab my non-geo woven textile fabric here in a second, and we're gonna bring it beyond what is right here so it overlaps a little bit, and then we'll get it laid inside. And then this is the low point, and then it slowly goes uphill as it goes to the corner, and then from the corner over to the stub wall, it also goes uphill. So that way if water gets into it, it will all run downhill, and then it ends up running underneath of the floor right here, which you can't see because it's covered, and then ends up shooting out right here through this pipe that goes underneath the telehandler under the floor all the way to our dirt wall over there, and then it shoots down to where those trees are. So I'm gonna get started laying this perimeter pipe in here in just a second, but Roman just announced that he got done welding everything up here, and he got everything done welding over here. So this means we can now pull out our center post. We have been waiting for this day for a long time. So this is a really big deal. Oh boy. Now we got the jack to go. You made these welds strong, right, Roman?
Do you want? I can hold the post. Do you want to watch if it goes down?
No, I got the post. I got the post. Oh boy.
Fudge.
Look at that. Wow. It's hard to believe it took us like 4 months just to get to that. With our posts now out of this side, it is amazing how much bigger this room now feels. It just feels like a completely different room. It's hard to believe there used to be a wall that went straight across right here, and this was its own little dungeon, and the big creepy black tank used to be here at the back. But now that we got everything all opened up, it's a whole new environment in here. Just look at those welds too. So Roman just welded his strapping all the way around. So it's welded to the I-beam, and then these basically just hold these wooden beams straight up, and they keep them sucked up to the I-beam, and with the I-beam sitting on top of that wall and sitting on top of that wall, they bridge the distance and it just holds everything up nice. So this is going to work super well. So with that being done, I am now going to jump back into the corner. I'm gonna get some measurements for what I need for non-woven geotextile fabric, as well as our 4-inch perforated pipe. 15 feet of pipe, and then we're gonna need about 20 feet of fabric because we need the fabric to overlap on the ends. So we're gonna need a little extra. We need to be very careful when we are working with this end of the pipe because we already have the entire thing surrounded with rock. So if we lift this up, that rock will work its way underneath and then we will not be able to get it to sit back down. So I do have 2 cinder blocks as an extra precaution sitting on top of the pipe, so that way I can't lift anything beyond where the cinder blocks are. So we're gonna try to just to disturb this area a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is take our piece of cloth that we just cut. I'm gonna try to spread it out here just a little bit. It's kind of like a big blanket. And we're gonna try to floss it back and forth and see if I can get it underneath of this just a little bit. We're gonna try to slide it back to here, and so that way we can have just a little bit of overlap. And I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're gonna try. Very, 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 very gently. We're overlapped a little bit. That's what we want. Now I gotta clean out the rock from under this pipe to get it to lower back down. That may be easier said than done. It's kind of cool the way these pipes connect together. I have an intercoupler right here, and it's just got these little basically teeth on it that are going to latch into the corrugations of our pipe. So we're simply just going to take the one end and you just stuff it in. Sometimes they go easier than others. There we go. Now that thing is locked in there, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing, going into the one that's already here, and voila, we're connected together. You look at this area, you would not think that is 2 wheelbarrow fulls of rock, but it was. We are going to have a fair few. It's probably going to be like 6 or 7 wheelbarrows in here by the time we get everything filled across. Now, when we started working down here in the basement today, we had a couple goals. The first thing we wanted to do is get the forms off of these stub walls. We got the forms off. We wanted to get the forms off of the last foundation wall pour. We got the forms off. We even got some bonus work done by pulling the forms off up here on both sides of the wall. We also wanted to get this big I-beam welded up. Roman got that thing welded, and then we also wanted to get everything welded up in this room, so that way we could get this beam hanging from those 2 I-beams, so that way we could remove the pole. And looky there. We have no pole because Roman got everything up there welded. And then our last goal for today was to get rock completely filled back up in this corner. I was able to get the perimeter drain line in, and I got that all covered with rock, but there is a fair bit of rock here to go. If our welding would not have taken us 7 hours today, we would have definitely got that done, because having Roman's help filling this thing up definitely makes it much quicker. But unfortunately, it is just one of those things. It took 7 hours to get the welding done. It does not look like it should take that long, but it is a meticulous process, especially over in this room. Welding upside down, when you're welding on the ceiling like that, it is not a very fast process. And also due to the fact that Roman and I do not do it every day, it's just one of those things. You just kind of have to really think about everything you're doing, so that way you do it right, and you just slowly but surely chip away at it. But since that did take us so long, unfortunately, I am not going to be able to get this little area finished up. It is starting to get dark out, and I want to go home to my family, and I want to get something to eat, take a shower, and go to bed. So with that being said, this is all we got for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.